Welcome to Miracle Network's Wednesday Meditation. I'm so glad we're all here together. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to click the subscribe button below to receive updates and notifications. Today we're joined by Nick Arandes, who will lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we open it up for sharing, and we end at 10:45. Over to you, Nick.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Um, I didn't know if I was going to make it today because I had an appointment, but fortunate enough I did. And I believe that I was told that if I didn't show up, James told me that he was going to read lesson 98, I believe so, from the course. So I usually go straight to what I do, the meditation. But just to honor that, I'm just going to go ahead and read the beginning of that lesson. And then we go into the meditation. And once I do, I'll let you know, Teresa, so you know exactly for the timing. You can ring the bell. So anyhow, the lesson says, lesson 98 says, I will accept my part in God's plans for salvation. And a few sentences of the first paragraph says, today is a day of special dedication. We take a stand on but none we take a stand on but one side today. We side with truth and let illusions go. We will not vacillate between the two, but take a firm position with one. Okay, so Teresa, you can start from here. By the way, the timing. So you can close your eyes if you feel like. And let's explore this idea that we will not vacillate between the two, between truth and illusions, but take a firm position with the one. The one is pure being. Right now, you are being. That is undeniable. I am not asking you to control thoughts because that would take you away from the being and put you in a position of doing. Thoughts appear in the same way that clouds appear in the sky. But the sky never stops skying. Waves appear in the ocean, but the ocean is still oceaning because all that there is ocean. Waves may appear and they disappear in it. Clouds may appear and disappear in it. But in the same way that the clouds has no effect on the sky, the waves has no effect on the ocean. And thought has no effect on being. And this is what we're going to be firmly established in. What is interesting is that there's no need to be firmly established in because you are already it. When you're sleeping and you're dreaming, you don't have to be firmly established in the bed. You are always in the bed. It just so happens that the attention goes to the dream. Well, same thing here. You are always being. And please be aware that I'm not talking to you, the person. These words are simply being said, and they're recognized by the same beingness, which is what we all are. Thoughts appear and disappear. Sounds appear and disappear. Feelings, sensations appear and disappear. But the capacity of being aware of all of that never does. And that is beingness. So right now we're resting in beingness because we are beingness. Don't think that you as a person is being. It's just that language is a limitation and the words are just pointing to what is. Beingness is while thoughts appear and disappear. Beingness is while activity appear and disappear. Beingness is while sounds appear and disappear. And if the word beingness could be a little bit confusing or so, we can use the word aliveness. The aliveness cannot be negated. And we are the aliveness, always. So right now you're being. You could have your eyes closed and you can have your eyes open. It doesn't matter. You could be engaged in an activity or you could be doing nothing. It doesn't matter. The aliveness, the beingness remains. And this is what the lesson 98 is pointing to. Today we will make no concessions here. Now, as resting in beingness, which is what is, seems to be happening, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions so we can do an investigation together. The question that I'm going to ask you is, who are you? And notice that the answer that usually comes is, I am me. Yes, we could say, I am a man, I am a woman, this is my name, this is where I'm from, but we're not going to go into it because we'll keep it simple. Who are you? And notice how you'll say, I am me. Okay, pay attention. I am me is not who you are, is a thought. Can you see it? Who are you? I am me. But that is a thought. Without the thought, who are you? There's no answer. Because the question is not to be answered. The question is simply pointing. Answers comes from thought, but you are not the thoughts. How do you know you're not the thoughts? Because when the thoughts disappear, you would also disappear. And yet you remain. Are you the body? And if you notice, while your attention was on the question, who are you? You did not even notice you had a body or you were a body. You may say, I am a body because there's sensations and feelings. Yeah, but feelings and sensations are just appearance in this beingness that you are. Have you noticed that when the attention went to the body or the feeling or sensations, there were sounds happening that you were not noticing? Now, if I ask you to bring your attention or the attention to sounds, just put the full attention on sounds. See what sounds seems to be around. Notice that while the attention is on the sounds, you're not noticing the thoughts. You're not even noticing the body. You may not even be noticing the sensations. And yet what you are is prior to attention, is prior to any thoughts. Because when the attention is not on the body, and if you were the body, then you would also disappear. But yet the capacity of being aware still remains. Now find the one that is aware. Tell me what it looked like. Tell me what color is it? Does it have a shape? And yet awareness is, beingness is. And is simply colored by thought. And this is the silence this is all pointing to. Silence is not the absence of noise, it's not the absence of activity, it's not the answer, it's not the absence of thought. Silence is beingness in which thought seems to appear, in which activity seems to take place, in which feelings, sensations, perception seems to take place, but the being remains. That is what is meant by lesson 155. There's a way of living in the world that is not of it. You don't change appearances, but you smile more often. The smile is not you smiling. The smile is the consequence when there's not the heaviness of the attention on thoughts. Thoughts will be there, that's fine. And they're functional, but they're not true. If they are true, take a thought right now, grab it, and show it to me. Just being, that's all. Being. Try not to be. You don't know who you are because without a thought, you're being. You don't know what you are because without a thought, you're being. But the fact is, you cannot negate the fact that you are. And that are is beingness, non-conceptual. That is what you are always. Thoughts are illusions. Perception is illusory. Feeling, sensation, they may seem real, but they're illusory. Why? Because they are transitory. They come and they go. But beingness is permanent. And lesson 98 is pointing to that. And you are that. Until a thought that appears that says, I am me, I am this individual. This is my name. This is my thought. This is who I am. This is what I do. These are my problems. These are my desires. But these are thoughts. Where are they right now? And a thought says, they're in my head. No, they're not anywhere. They're appearances, non-localized. Notice that this requires no effort. Controlling the mind requires effort. Speaking requires effort. Judging requires effort. Analyzing, dissecting, translating, but not being. And I am pointing to that. And yes, in beingness, when translating happens, happens. When judgment happens, happens. When thoughts appears, appears, but you're never losing sight of the fact that I am. This is the simplicity of it all. That's why Course in Miracles reinstate. This course is very simple. Truth is very simple. But the ego is complicated. And what is the ego? A thought. When I ask you, who are you? The thought, I am me, that's the ego. If I ask, who are you? And there's no thought around it, that's egoless space. And yes, you will still function the same way that you have done before. Nothing is going to change, yet everything is going to change. Because the circumstances, the situations, the sensations, the feelings, the thought, they don't have to change, but the way you relate with them, it does. Because now you're not identifying with them. A thought is a thought. It's not positive nor negative. It's just a thought. We can always go back to lesson number 1. Nothing means anything. Simple as that. A feeling, a sensation is that. Perception is that. But you remain as you are. That's it. This is it. Nothing to do, nothing to say, nothing to be, just beingness. You see that there's no effort here. Is the mind filled with thoughts? Well, the truth is the mind can only have one thought at a time. That's it. And if the thought is seen, not a problem. If the thought is judged, that is just another thought that's not in, but now you see them all as just that, thoughts. But I remain as I am. And this is the invitation. Nothing to do. Right now. Thoughts appear. Great. Watch them. Means nothing. Sensations appear. Great. Watch them. Means nothing. Sounds appear. Sure. Listen to them. But don't identify with them. Because they're happening anyway. And however, remember, I'm not talking to you, the person. I'm not telling you to watch the thoughts. I'm not telling you to listen or not listen. I'm not telling you to let the feeling sensations be. I am pointing to the fact that you are. And when thoughts are seen, when feelings are seen or felt, that's fine, without engaging the mind, trying to tell what this means. When everything is seen through, you still being. And that beingness is the peace that surpasses all understanding, because understanding comes from the mind, not from the self. The self simply is. Mind needs to understand. And what is mind? A thought. And yet you remain as you are. I am. Love is. God is. Peace is. Not I am a person. God is a something. Peace is a sensation. Love is a feeling. No, no, no. Just is right now. Right now, you are being love. You are being peace. You are being God, if you want to use, if we can use that term. Not a person. I'm talking about the essence. And this is all there is. This is it. No problems exist in what is. No fear exists in what is. No future exists in what is. No past exists in what is. What is, it simply is. Fear, worry, thoughts, concern, problems, and everything are just interpretation by thought overshadowing what is. And if a thought appears, but how do I deal with this? How do I pay the rent at the end of the month? How do I figure these are thoughts? That's the point. Yeah, I get it. I don't understand, but I still have problem. No, these are thoughts. That's the point. So do I sit in a couch and watch bad TV and just go ahead and eat potato chips? No, all these are thoughts. This is it. Your being. That's where this is all pointing to. And life takes care of life. Being takes care of being. Actions will happen if they're needed, but action inspired by truth, by peace, spontaneous right action. Action motivated by thought is the cause of fear, because we have believed the root cause, which is the thought, I am this individual. And as lesson 98 points today, we are going to be relentlessly pointing to truth and away with illusions. Truth is being, always present, never changing. Anything that comes and goes is illusion. May appear real, but it's just an appearance. You are the screen in which movies projected onto, not the movie. You're the mirror that reflects what is presented in front of it, but it's not the reflection nor the image. Well, you are being, while thoughts, feelings, sensations may seem to appear, but none of that defines the fact that you are. So for the remaining of this time here together, just be. this beingness, if we want to use the Course in Miracles language, is the holy instant.
Open your eyes and come back into the room. We have 18 minutes left for sharing. If you'd like to share, raise your hand and I'll invite you to take yourself off mute. Who would like to share?
They're too busy being, and that's the point. So that means that means that the exercise worked. I'll say something. It's very interesting because if I was identified with someone that thinks that knows something and wants to translate something, I want to have questions so I can feel, look, I know something, I can teach you something. But technically speaking, the point is that you can just be, and if you get it, that's it. You don't need to see me ever again.
Who would like to share? Norman, take yourself off mute.
This is more of an aside.
Sure.
Before the meditation started, I had a pain in my left foot. I've got plantar fasciitis in it. I was so told. But during the listening to Nick, I wasn't aware of any pain. But as soon as the bell went, bang, the pain appeared back in my foot. So it's obviously true that it's not real. And the only thing real is the beingness. So it's just, I think the trick is just to stay in that somehow. So thank you.
Vivian, take yourself off mute.
Thank you Nick, for that. That was just lovely. I have to say, I always find this Wednesday meditation group just lovely. Always, um, my I feel joined with everybody, and my mind calms down. Well, yes, calms down a lot. But today, following your meditation, I had lots of feelings of just being. There really weren't any thoughts, and just feeling one with the whole group. Thank you very much. That was lovely.
Thank you.
Who'd like to share? Teresa.
Nick, thank you. It's lovely to see you again. And as always, it's brilliant just quietening the mind and hearing. And I wanted to, I liked when you said if you prefer the word, you talked about beingness, and then you said, oh, you can say aliveness. I thought, oh, I like that. So I started to think about that. And then you were talking about controlling and other things. I picked up on controlling, requiring effort. But,
Yeah.
beingness or aliveness, there's no effort. And so I loved all of that. And what I wanted to share is definitely something completely opposite to what we've been doing this morning. I watched a program last night, which I enjoyed, but with an instant of looking at something, I had an experience inside me that felt very cold and scary. And I thought, oh, straight away I try to analyze it, go straight into the mind. Oh, is that something from my past? What is all that about? I thought, well, that's not going to work. I have to just forgive it. But I wasn't sure what I was forgiving. And anyway, I handed it over anyway, even though I didn't really understand anything. And then I did get a glimmer of light of sort of some kind of understanding that the whole experience was about the feelings of rejection, or the feeling like you can love one minute and not love the next. It was definitely something like that was happening in the feeling, and I thought I wanted to project that out onto life. 1 minute loving, 1 minute not loving, and anyway, this morning I had more in feeling that God, love, or beingness or aliveness doesn't love and not love and reject and 1 minute and then not reject the next. It just isn't there. It just is not there. And that was very peaceful. And I got more of that during this meditation. So thank you very much.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. What is love? Do you know what love is?
When you say it, I just feel it's connection, joining. That's how if I want to give it a word.
Okay. How is it possible that something that is not separate joins?
Good point. Yeah.
When I ask you, what does it love mean to you, is because you were sharing that sometimes I felt this love, but when love is not, unless there's a concept about it, I can tell you when I'm wet if I take this thing of water and put it on, but when it's very simple, it's very interesting because words actually cannot convey this. It's impossible. Hopefully everything is a deconstruction, So, right, I'm going by the example you gave about last night. You're watching this TV show and these feelings came up and the mind was trying to, what is it for? What does it mean, or whatever? How about watching a TV show happens feelings and sensations happens as part of contractions, you see, in what is. See, when I believe I'm a separate entity, I feel a contraction, you know? And from that contraction is where the mind begins to try to understand, what does it mean? What does it feel? I felt this, I felt that. It's just a sense of, being a human being is a sense of being contracted, you know? So the invitation is to notice the contraction without engaging the mind. Then it's just contraction, decontraction, but you are that which is not contracted, you know? When thoughts appear, and I'm not talking about you right now, I'm talking in general. When thoughts appear, and I want to control the thoughts, this is the contraction itself, you know? But if I am, this is it. Feelings, sensations appear, but these are just different textures of the sameness. And that's why when this is seen clearly, even speaking is like not necessary. Now the mind may say, does that mean that I'm going to be a monk that never taught? No. Difference is that before, when there's a strong identity with a me, the speaking has to be more with me, with what's about me, or it could be control or trying to. But when there's resting in what is, speaking happens when it's supposed to happen, and it's seen as something very effortless. You see? And when feelings and sensations appear, you are. You see? And if something needs to be done about them, you just notice how you find yourself doing something about it, but it doesn't feel as if I took the initiative. Does that make sense? You know? And this is where we're pointing to this. And if I want to use the word fear, is the fear of me disappearing, you know? And that's why when I ask you, who are you? That me that I claim to be, that I think I am, is the one that needs all the concepts. But without a me, who is ugly, who's pretty, who's tall, who's short, who's a man, who's a woman, who is all the labels, you know? And this is where sort of it's pointing to realize, oh my God, it's this. Again, nobody would be realizing anything, but again, I don't know what words to use. Right now, how much effort do you have to do or have to make right now just to be? You see? And in this beingness, thoughts appear, that's fine. But if there's no identification with a me, the thoughts can be there, not a problem. The feelings, the sensations can be there, not a problem. It's just a contraction. Sometimes the contraction can be a little bit tighter, you know, sometimes a little looser. But is this, and you always go back to, you see, you don't go back to it. It's funny because you're already there, you're already it. And this is the invitation, you see. The mind wants to engage. The mind needs concepts, you see. But now we're just dismantling everything and just see it what it is. And this is where, again, when this is seen through, even every question is seen as a thought. And yes, questions will appear, but questions that are functional. How do I get to the supermarket? Oh, sure, take 2 blocks to the left. But all these philosophical questions and things about who I am and what, all this stuff drops because all that there is what is. You see? And you just rest in that. And then it happens what you said. I was watching a program. Yeah, watching a program happens. And tears came about because I felt this scene that it was very moving. And that's fine. Tears happens. But then when all that happens, it's just happening, just a natural happening. And you just simply are sort of like just being. Does that make sense? You know, I think this is actually what this is pointing to, you know?
Yes, thank you, Nick. That's brilliant. Thank you.
You're all.
Okay, who'd like to share? Janice, take yourself off mute.
I don't know whether you said this, Nick, but it was the story of a sea story. And there's a little wave, and he's shouting out, "Help! Help!" And a big wave comes past, and he said, "What's the matter?" He said, "In a few minutes, I'm going to be smashed upon the rocks." And the big wave says, "Don't be silly. You're an ocean."
Exactly. That's it. Thank you. That's it. But the mind cannot get this, because now the mind turns into a concept that says, I got it. Do you follow? You know? But these stories, they're great pointers, you know, because now you're being. You've always been. You could never have not been. You know, it's because we thought we were someone, something, somebody, something, you know. And now this is it. This, again, what can we say? I'm just trying to point that
Why
the
is
way you
it that
point is,
that's the first thing we forget?
well, actually, it, how can I say, whether we forget or don't forget, this is still a question that suggests that there was a separation. You know, it's a trap question, you know. That's why if you listen, if you look at A Course in Miracles, it points at the end what it says that the ego, which means that the sense of identity, the sense of being a separate entity, the ego will ask questions that this course cannot provide. It will ask for answers that the course will not provide. You know, it's kind of trying to point to the fact that, you know what, there's not even a you here, you know, but there's a way of living in this world, seeming world, in a way that is not of it. And the way we can do so is by notice. Not, it's not you who's noticing, but it's a way of saying, I am, and that's it. And thoughts appear, sensations appear. And if there's no engaging with the mind, if it's not believing the content of it, I remain as I am. You know, this is really what is right now. You are being right now, right this moment, right now. As these words seems to be coming here, coming out of someone me, it's just basically the fact that I am. That's the silence. You see, that's where it's all pointing to. And that's your experience. That is not theory. This is your direct experience right now. Right now, you're being. Yes, beingness is happening, but not me, the person is being. It's just that being is happening. Aliveness, that's where we can use that word, aliveness. Aliveness without colored by the narrative of the mind is aliveness. Aliveness colored by the narrative of the mind is still aliveness, but it's overlooked by the narration. And the narration says, I am good, I am bad, I am this, I am that, I don't understand this, why this has happened. So that's narrating. You follow? It's all narration. Without the narration, what remains? Well, this is where this is pointing to. And now, from the moment you wake up in the morning, you quote unquote wake up in the morning, or waking up happens in the morning. Now is only noticing how, by habit, by conditioning, we're used to identify with the mind, and the mind comes up with all sorts of questions, sensations, answers, and everything. But now, what we do, like lesson 98, be very diligent, you know, nothing means anything, you know, never upset for reasons I think. There's number 5, you know, just always just being. But it's not the individual who does that. You see, this is the only subtleness here, because the mind now takes it into a practice. I am not upset for the reasons I think. Yeah, but who's saying that? You know? So right now, this is it. Beingness, pure beingness, aliveness. Thoughts appear. I am.
Okay, we've come to the end of our time together. Thank you, Nick. And take yourself off mute and show your appreciation to Nick.
Oh, Thank you, Nick. Thank you,
Thank you,
everyone.
Nick. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Very